Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Simply Lily podcast. If you're new here, this is a space for real conversation about growth, healing, and becoming who we are in this season of life. Welcome back. We're still in the month of February, y'all. So I'm still trying to incorporate things about love and, things that are related to February. So today's episode is about heart health. And no, I don't mean cholesterol or cardio. I'm talking about the emotional heart, the one that remembers, the one that absorbs, and the one that gets tired of being strong. Because guess what, y'all? In midlife, we're just not protecting our feelings anymore. We're protecting our peace, our energy, our time, and most of all, our nervous system. So today, let's talk about what really means when you guard your heart without becoming closed off, bitter, or hardened. Guess what, y'all? Let's get started. So why is it that the heart hits different in midlife? See, because when we're younger, you lead with hope and you assume the best, and we also trust quickly. Now, in midlife, y'all know that changes, not because you're cold, but because you've lived. Our experience is our teacher. Our last lesson is our teacher. And we've loved deeply, we've been disappointed, and we're tired of being overgiven. And also, we've ignored red flags because we wanted things to work out. Now, we all have been there at one point or another. So now your heart doesn't want chaos. It wants safety. Guarding your heart in this season isn't about walls. Now it's about filters because we have that control in our lives now. We don't have to worry about all the extra stuff and trying to wait to have that moment to come out and see things in the perspective that we want and get the results that we want. So, not everyone deserves that special access. And not every conversation actually deserves a response. And not every connection deserves your emotional labor. And you know what? That's not selfish. That's actually self respect. So, this is what I'm asking. What is the cost of leaving your heart unguarded? Because a lot of us are in this phase in our life, and I've been seeing a lot of things like on social media, like on TikTok, about women in their midlife and in their mid 50s to late 50s, even in their 60s, that are saying, listen, I've never had better peace than I have now since I've been by myself. And they said it's the best energy that they've actually been able to give off to people. And it's just something that they said that it is the most calming and the most relaxing. But we have to come at a point in our lives like, how is it? What are we going to get out of that? So let's be honest about that. An unguarded heart in midlife costs more than just hurt feelings. Because if we think about it, it costs us our sleep, our focus, our confidence, and of course, our peace, but above all, our physical health. We don't have the stamina that we used to have to feed into nonsense that we used to do back when we were, in our 20s and 30s, maybe even our 40s. Now it's something where, you know, our mental health is more important than putting mind to things that are no longer serving us. But most of all, you always feel things in your chest. You feel it in your shoulders, and it's that tightness that you can't explain because some of us are exhausted, not because life is heavy, but because we're carrying emotions that don't belong to us. And a lot of us are still doing that. We're carrying things that no longer serve us. And that is emotional clutter. And we have to learn how to let go of things that we have no control over. And it's a natural thing as parents and as elders that it's just who we are, you know? We have always been caregivers and we have that natural intuition about just taking care of others. But there's times when we need to let go and we just need to release and give it away. Just give it away and just let it no longer come out and be living rent free in your head. And, we also have this thing when we're unguarded about other people's expectations and other people's moods and also other people's unresolved issues. Again, it's not your problem. It's not yours to take it and make it to the point where you are going to start letting it take a hold of you emotionally, where it's not allowing you to open the doors to other things in your life. Heart health means learning when to say, this isn't mine to carry. And this is something where I've actually been um, reading different articles and I've been really thinking about, some of us are still in that phase where we're worried about our kids, we're worried about, the future, instead of taking things one day at a time and just taking things easy and just accepting where we're at in our lives. And the worrying is so stressful that it's just not good for you. So let's talk about when guarding your heart and dating and relationships. I told y'all I'm still in February and we're still talking about love. Let's talk about relationships because this is where heart health is tested the most. So in midlife dating, the attraction isn't enough anymore. And I say that because, you know, I'm almost 60 and a 62, 63-year-old man that we see nowadays, i- unless they're physically fit, they don't look the same. So it's not even about attraction. Chemistry doesn't override character. Now, guarding your heart means watching consistency and not potential, listening to action and not promises, and paying attention to how you feel after interactions. It's kind of like when we're in a point where we no longer are trying to see what we can see in the future with this person. We're in the moment of where can this person be in my life that person is not going to end up destroying my peace. And you have to ask yourself, do you feel calm or do you feel anxious? Do you feel seen or confused? Or do you feel drained or do you feel grounded? If someone keeps activating your nervous system, that's not passion, that's a warning. Guess what? Peace is the new spark. So let's put some boundaries into that. Boundaries are like heart medicine. Boundaries used to feel harsh to me, but now they feel kind. And boundaries are how you protect your heart without shutting people out completely. Remember, and I've said this so many other times, boundaries aren't for the other person. Boundaries are for you. And if you're in a position where you're talking to someone and you feel like they're overwhelming you, you have to sometimes sound like, "Hey, I need more time." Or honestly, I'm not available for that. Or you can even say, I don't feel comfortable discussing this. Or that doesn't work for me. That's us being in control. And that's us making decisions that we know are not going to destroy our peace because we don't owe anybody any explanation as to why we're not going to be available, we're not comfortable, or because that doesn't work for me. And yes, there's going to be times where people are going to be uncomfortable, but see, your healing is not required to be convenient. A guarded heart doesn't mean a closed heart. And I'm going to say that again. A guarded heart doesn't mean a closed heart. It means a disciplined heart. We have now learned. We are becoming. We are in our new era. Let me give you some of the scripture that I think it's amazing and I really do like it. And it really goes well with this episode. And it's Proverbs 4, verse 23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything flows from it. So this is the ultimate preventative maintenance verse. If the pump is contaminated, the whole system fails. So how is it that we can strengthen the heart in this season? Well, heart health requires maintenance, and maintenance looks something like this. You have to check in with yourself regularly. Let go of resentment instead of rehearsing it. Choose rest over explaining. This is so important. And you know what? Giving love without self abandonment. Listen, you don't need to prove you're good. You don't need to earn love through exhaustion. And you don't need to stay where you feel small. Your heart deserves environments that help it heal, not survive. We're not there anymore. We are trying to live and get out of survival mode if that's where you're at. And listen, and if you've been doing well and life has been good to you, listen, that is amazing and I commend you. But even when we think that we're doing so well, we always have to keep in mind that there's always going to be something that's going to come across in life, whether it's negative or whether it's something unexpected that we have to protect our heart. So listen, y'all, with all that being said, if this season of your life feels quieter, it's not because you've lost your spark. It's because you've learned discernment. You're no longer pouring from an empty place. You're protecting what matters. Listen, guard your heart, not out of fear, but what we have now, but out of wisdom. Because a healthy heart changes everything. So listen, thank you all for being here. And if this resonated in any kind of way, listen, share it with somebody. Like, follow, give me a comment. And guess what? I'll talk to you in the next episode.